Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Health Check. I'm your host, Dr. Vanessa Bolling. Health Check, as you know, is sponsored by Kingdom Health Connections. It's all about cultivating a culture of health, wellness, healing for you and the entire family. And this is done through health education, health promotion, and health information. So I'm your host, Dr. Vanessa Bolling. Like I said, it's all about cultivating that culture of health, wellness, and healing for you and the entire family. But those who are watching this morning, guess what? It starts with you, and I'm on the journey with you. This is a lifestyle. As kingdom citizens in the body of Christ, and those who are tuning in and you're just gaining some information, come on in. Tune in. This information is not just for a certain group of individuals. This is for you as well. So share it with your family members and your friends. But as I was mentioning, as kingdom citizens, it's all about this is the culture of health, wellness, and healing. That's the culture of our King, which is the Lord Jesus Christ. And he desires that we would prosper and be in good health. That's in our spirit, man. That's in our soul. And that's also in our physical bodies. Well, I know you can see the topic of today is all about overeating for the month of December. I don't know if you were tuning in with me on last month, but let me share with you some stats that between Thanksgiving and Christmas, it is very common for individuals, especially Americans, to gain up to 10 pounds anywhere from Thanksgiving to Christmas. That's a lot in just a matter of a month, maybe a little less than a month, actually. 3 weeks and some change can gain up to 10 pounds. So, it came to me that, what, let's talk about overeating this month. I think it's good. Some individuals may be on the pathway of maybe focusing on what their vision is for the upcoming year, even just finishing the rest of this month off strong. But let me just encourage you during that time. And let's talk about the topic of overeating and what that means. What does it mean to overeat? Well, to overeat is to essentially take in more calories than what your body actually needs at that given time, and take in more calories than what your body is actually using for that time. So the body's not even able to keep up with the amount of calories that are taken in that are supposed to be used for energy, that are supposed to be used to even excrete waste. So we know that we eat, and whatever our body doesn't need, it's supposed to excrete it as waste, whether it's through urine or feces. But when our body takes in more calories than what we need, guess what? That energy is stored as fat. And, we don't want excess fat in our bodies. It's not good. It puts extra load on our bodies. So it's not good to overeat. And I wanted to share with you some long-term effects that can occur when we overeat. So it's very common to develop type 2 diabetes, hypertension. That's high blood pressure. That's chronic. It's very common to develop elevated cholesterol levels. It's very common to even develop acid reflux. That's common, also known as GERD. So we're taking in so much into our bodies. Our stomach is hyperextended. As a result, it puts so much pressure on our esophagus, and it causes the reflux of acid in our chest. So we may find that we burp a lot more, especially if we've eaten too much, especially acidy or greasy foods or beverages. And that can be a result of overeating. Weight gain, as we know it, we're taking in more than what we're expending. So that can cause weight gain. We're storing all these excess calories in fat. There can be a leading to insulin resistance, which could then lead to type 2 diabetes, leptin resistance. That's all a part of the metabolism process of how we take in food, how our body breaks it down. And it can cause resistance to the normal hormonal pathways that's supposed to happen in our bodies. We don't want that pathway to become resistant, because as a result, we're not going to break down food. We're going to keep on more than we need to. And we may often ask that question, why can't I lose weight? We're probably overeating. And we're going to be talking about this throughout the course of the month. So I implore you, tune in with me throughout the month. Something else that it can cause is memory loss. There are multiple studies that have shown that if you eat more than 21,000, actually 2,143 calories in a given day, it can lead, and this is repetitively, it can lead to memory loss. More than 2,143 calories in a day. I don't know if you've ever used any tracking apps. MyFitnessPal is one of them. I don't know if you've used any of them before, but if you can calculate, I know I've used it before and I can attest to this. It can be real easy to go over 2,000 calories in a day. And we may question, why is Alzheimer's so common in my family? Why is dementia so common in my family? Could it be what we are eating? There may be a genetic predisposition, but is what we're eating triggering this gene expression? I don't know if you were with me in times prior. I talked about epigenetics. Our behaviors, what we're eating, can actually trigger the expression of certain genes in our DNA and cause things to be present in the family line. But we've got the power. We've got the power in what we eat or drink. So tune in for more. So I mentioned that these things can definitely happen. There could be even an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, dysregulation of our hormone dysregulation of our ability to be able to recognize if we're hungry or not. So there are so many different things that can happen when we overeat. But today's focus that I really wanted to tune in on is, how do I recognize when I'm overeating, and how do I recognize when I'm satiated? Well, overeating, I think some of us probably can attest to when we know that we're overeating, but maybe there's been a dysregulation with recognizing when you're hungry or you're full, and you've been overeating. So how do I recognize when I'm overeating? We are, a lot of the times we recognize this is when we're going past that feeling of satisfaction. So we know we're satisfied, we know we're good, but we're grazing. We're just eating more and more and more. The conversation is so good. The game is so good. The movie is so good. We're just eating more and more and more, and we don't stop. I mean, we're bloated. We're feeling sluggish. We've gotten to the point where we're having to unbutton our belts, unbutton our shirts, unbutton our pants because we are uncomfortable. So we know when we are overeating, when we're starting to feel uncomfortable. The problem is that we have normalized overeating. We've normalized feeling uncomfortable. We figure we ate good because I ate so good, I had to unbutton my pants. I mean, it's like sometimes like a cultural thing. We're okay with it. We take it in, and that's the norm, and nobody's gonna question it. I ate so good, I felt so tired, I got the itis. And if you tuned in with me last month, the itis is not okay. That means what we call postprandial hyperglycemia. That means our sugar levels are going so high so quickly, it causes us to feel sluggish. We're tired, because our blood sugars went so high. So that what we consider to be the itis, that's what's happening. And that increases our risk of type 2 diabetes. So embracing the itis could be embracing type 2 diabetes. So we definitely want to hone into this. If we need to take a breather between our meals, then we're overeating. Like, we got to stop. I got to stop. I got to slow down for a little bit. If we got to take a breather, we're probably overeating. If we're no longer paying attention to the meal in front of us. So, like I said, the conversation could be so good, we stop. We're now grazing. And we're grazing. We've reached that feeling of feeling full, but now we're grazing. We just keep taking in more. We're now overeating. We're ignoring those normal cues that we're supposed to feel or experience in our bodies. So when we're feeling heavy, when we're feeling weighed down, if we're walking out of the restaurant or walking away from our family member's home and we are sluggish, then we've probably overeaten. And when we eat food, we're supposed to be energized. We're supposed to have a satisfactory time, have a good time. It's supposed to be filled of laughter. The food was good. The food tastes good. And we're supposed to take it all in, but not to the point of feeling sluggish and weighed down. Granted, all these symptoms could be because of the type of foods that we chose as well. But just recognizing when we're overeating, we're taking in more than we actually need for a given time. So if we're starting to feel nauseous, if we've gotten to the point of vomiting, or we have such acid reflux from what we ate, we're now vomiting, we're slow moving, we feel swollen, we're uncomfortable. Even if you check your blood sugar and you notice that your blood sugar is high, those could be signs and symptoms of overeating. So when do I know when I'm satiated? How can I tell when I'm satiated? And satiated meaning satisfied. Satiating mean that I'm good. I'm full, but I'm not overly full to the point of being in the category of overeating. So I'm satiated. I'm satisfied. How do I recognize when I'm satisfied? Well, I'm glad that you asked. So that feeling of being hungry or feeling as though your stomach is empty, that feeling now is replaced with feeling good. So you're in that neutral state. You're in that neutral state. You may feel, so physically, you may feel more so of a gentle pressure on the abdominal area. So just a gentle pressure. It's not an overly bloated feeling. It's not a gassy feeling, just gentle pressure. You've eaten probably half of what's on your plate or 75% of what's on your plate. Granted, whatever we put on our plate could be a lot more. So you just take this information with looking at your plate, and you haven't overloaded your plate, or you've eaten a decent portion amount on your plate, but yet you have that gentle pressure. This is without overpiling your plate. Remember, if there's more on your plate, if it's hanging over your plate, it's going to be overload to your body. So if it can't fit on the plate, it can't fit in your body. Keep that as a rule of thumb. So you have a decent proportional amount of food on your plate, and you've probably taken in half, 50% or 75% of it, and you've just got a light pressure. You're more than likely satiated. You no longer feel hungry. You're satiated. You can know and recognize that you're satiated. You should still feel light. You should not feel like you're oversleeping or overly tired. Again, this could be dependent on whatever has been on your plate as well, because it could cause a sugar spike, and then it could cause it to rush down, your blood sugars to go down very low as well. But you should no longer feel hungry rather. You should no longer feel hungry, and you should have that neutralized feeling. And we want to, and this week's health tip is to really recognize when we've reached that state of satiety. We want to recognize it so that way we're no longer ignoring when we're satiated. We're no longer ignoring when we're now full and we're satisfied. We've had the foods that we've enjoyed. It's a great variety. It's a healthy and clean variety. I'm satiated. I may have a little bit of pressure in my abdomen, but I am not bloated. I'm not feeling sluggish. I'm not feeling swollen. That's how we know the difference between when we overate and we're satiated. So, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to put them here in the chat. Let this be our challenge, and let it become a way of living for us. There's so many tips that I'm going to be going over throughout the month on how we can better embrace knowing when we're satiated as opposed to overeating. And so just tune in for the rest of the month too as well. But let's start with recognizing when we have that light pressure, when we are no longer hungry, and we're not just grazing as we're eating, recognizing those times when we are satiated, because that's going to be a key to overcoming overeating as well. So we have the choice today between life and death. Blessings and curses, I call on all of heaven to witness the decision that you and I make. Oh, that we would choose life so that not only we would live, but our descendants will live, our children and our children's children will also live. If you have any questions, put them here on the chat. Feel free to email me as well as at kingdomhealthtah@gmail.com. Go ahead and put hashtag I choose life. I pray that this live was a blessing to you. And I'll see you again here, 9 a.m. on Facebook Live as well as YouTube next week, Tuesday, 9 a.m. Be blessed, everyone.